How's it going, everyone? The Packers just completed their third OTA that is actually open up to the media. They've had 8 total practices up to this point in time, and next week is the official mandatory minicamp that starts for the Packers. So up to today, all of these organized activities haven't been mandatory, and they're very optional, so the players that don't show up, take it with a grain of salt. But so far, the Packers have actually had a very good participation rate. So they only had 3 players absent in this OTA, which was linebacker Jonathan Garvin and cornerbacks Jair Alexander and Rasul Douglas, who have been absent for the entirety of all the OTAs. But otherwise, most of the players have shown up. Now, who didn't participate, though, but still showed up, were Grant DeBose, Dontavian Wicks, Jake Hansen, and Dallin Levitt. It's also worthy to note that in this OTA, Tucker Kraft and Devontae Wyatt were back participating in the OTAs, as the past couple of weeks they weren't participating due to undisclosed things. So for the offensive side, focus Jordan Love. Jordan Love is pretty much going to get a lot of looks. Yes, we have a lot of exciting players, but Jordan Love and how he's progressing, how he shows in these OTAs are kind of going to be under a microscope. So in this OTA, they had a lot of focus and an uptick in hard counts, and it's to pretty much get the offense used to his cadence and how he does a hard count, and also to kind of test the defense. So all in all, the offense, after all the attempted hard counts, they had a couple of offsides on offense, but he was also able to get the defense to kind of show their hand a few times as well. So the hope is, as the offseason continues and progresses and he does these hard counts more, they can get used to his cadence and actually not jump off sides, which is just going to come with practice and time. Another focus is Jordan Love has been seen attacking the middle of the field a lot with a lot of slants and crosses, and he's been able to find the soft spot a lot in these zones. So that's also good to see. And the Jordan Love-Romeo Doubs connection has been prevalent throughout all these OTAs, and it's continued in this OTA as well. So he was able to complete a pass to the corner of the end zone for a touchdown while Doubs kept 2 feet in. And it's pretty been evident that he probably has the best rapport with Romeo Doubs. But it hasn't all been great for Jordan Love. Unfortunately, in the 2-minute drill towards the end of practice, he was flushed out of the pocket, rolling to his right, and did the cardinal sin and threw across his body back towards the middle of the field where it was picked off, thus ending the 2-minute drill and pretty much would be the game for the Packers. And he's going to have to learn on that. And practice is a good opportunity to try and test some things. Just because he threw a pick, we shouldn't just throw him aside. Be like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? It's a good place to practice these things and see what you can probably get away with and what's a terrible idea. And despite many people, even us who just watch the game, don't throw across your body. And it's best to just get that out the way in practice, learn from it, and hopefully he doesn't do it come during a game, especially when the game's on the line. So unfortunately, he threw a pick to end the practice, but it's a learning process. There are going to be up and downs with Jordan Love. We are moving on from Aaron Rodgers. So it comes with the territory. Also of note, he has thrown very well while inside the pocket, and he's going to have to improve while throwing outside the pocket, as he's been pretty accurate inside, but when he rolls out and he's running and he's trying to throw on the run, he hasn't been too accurate. So it's definitely going to be something he's going to have to work on throughout this entire offseason to get better at that. Now, I know I said Jordan Love is pretty much going to be under a microscope, but there is another quarterback that did show impressiveness during the OTAs, and that's Sean Clifford, who played in the third string quarterback role with the thirds. So in his 2-minute drill, he was able to go for 9 for 11 for 75 yards, and on a 4th down was able to throw it for a touchdown. So he had an impressive showing for his 2-minute drill. Granted, it was with the third string, but impressive showing is an impressive showing, especially in OTAs. Moving on to the running back spot, obviously Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are the 1 and 2 backs for us. But for the number 3, it's kind of looking like Tyler Goodson has a good firm hold on the number 3 spot as of right now. He's been doing all the things that you want from a running back. He's got good vision, good burst. He's been able to block. He lined up at slot receiver for a few of these plays, and he's been doing all the things that have been asked of him. Now, they did state that the third running back spot, if we do keep it, because last year we only kept 2 running backs on the roster to start off the season, it's going to come down to special teams, and they're going to have to become a special teams contributor. So he's been seeing some reps at the special teams spot as well to hopefully for him earn a roster spot with the 53-man roster come towards the end of the offseason. Moving on to the receivers, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs are most likely or obviously going to be our number 1 and 2. And for the number 3 spot, so far Jaden Reed this entire OTA session and throughout the multiple weeks has been playing with the ones at the slot position. But today he did get some reps outside. So he has that versatility of not just being a slot guy, but also kicking out outside, which will allow some more versatility with this offense, which is something that we'll need. And it's great to see. So we'll be able to move some pieces around and get some mismatches. Moving along to the offensive line, in this OTA, the starting 5 ended up being David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins, Josh Myers, John Runyon, and Yosh Nijman took the starting spot at right tackle over Zach Tom. Zach Tom had the starting spot the last couple of weeks at right tackle, and they did state they were going to pretty much rotate Zach Tom and see where they could get him in. But today was Yosh Nijman's turn with the ones at the right tackle position. Zach Tom did also take some snaps at the right guard position with the 2s and was seen warming up at center. While also with the number 2s, the lineup ended up looking like Caleb Jones and Sean Ryan, Zach Tom at center, Royce Newman, and Luke Tenuta. So Matt LaFleur always said it's about starting your best 5. And if throughout this offseason, Yosh Nijman does seem to be an adequate right tackle. He had an up and down season last year into where he lost his job to Zach Tom. But if Nijman could actually become a decently consistent person at right tackle and Zach Tom just take the center, because I've been saying Zach Tom should probably be a center for a long time, then this move makes a lot of sense. Get him some reps to see if he can overtake Josh Myers at the center or add some competition, because Josh Myers has had this role for a while without any competition, and the man needs some competition because he has a lot left to be desired. Lastly, for the offensive side, the tight end position, Luke Musgrave once again started at the tight end position. He's pretty much going to be our number 1 tight end the way it looks like and based off his ability, with Tyler Kraft being the number 2 tight end or to sub in on some packages to give him a break. But it looks like Luke Musgrave is pretty much going to be our number 1 tight end for this season. Now, moving on to the defensive side, we have a slight change. Lucas Van Ness is now playing with the 1s in this OTA. The past couple of weeks, he was with the number 2s. He was behind Justin Hollins and Kingsley Nambare. So it's nice to see he's definitely moved up the depth chart, especially after having a couple of good showings the past couple of weeks. And he pretty much played opposite of Preston Smith. And this is, of course, with Rashawn Gary still out with that ACL injury and is recovering from it. So he's playing with the 1s outside of Preston Smith. And then on the interior, they had Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark, and TJ Slayton on the inside. TJ Slayton and also Devontae Wyatt had a good showing in this OTA. They made a couple of good plays getting into the backfield and disrupting that offensive line, and has pretty much been seen that they had a better showing than the offensive line. Now, granted, David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins were not playing every snap on that left side as they were subbed in and out with the 1s. So when they definitely got subbed out, the defensive line had a better showing. So kind of take that with a grain of salt, but good to see you out of TJ Slayton and Devontae Wyatt since they are currently predicted to be full-time starters for us. And we definitely want to see more out of Devontae Wyatt because towards the end of the season, he just seemed to be getting better and better. And we would love to see that improve out of such an athletic disruptor along our front. Now, as for the edge rushers, pretty much Preston Smith and Lucas Van Ness, they did a good job in playing contain and not allowing the running back to kick the ball outside and pretty much forcing the ball carrier to come back inside on running plays. So that's good to see. That definitely hurt the Packers a lot last season, and we need to have better control and contain and push the running back inside because when they got outside, it was a train wreck. For the cornerbacks position, Keshawn Nixon once again continued playing the slot position, but in this OTA, they had him blitz a lot more for a specific period of time. That's pretty much, hopefully we might see a little bit more of that come the season, but it was also to test Jordan Love and also the young players to recognize if there was a corner blitz and try to get them acclimated and push them a little bit. Then we had Carrington Valentine, who had a pretty good showing, has had a pretty good offseason thus far for a rookie. He did end up forcing back-to-back incompletions from Jordan Love, who is throwing to his security blanket in Romeo Doubs. So it's very good to see that he's able to keep up with Romeo Doubs, who is a very shifty and very good player. And then Tarvarius Moore, who also had a good showing. Once again, he was playing with the ones, going in and out with Rudy Ford. He had that pick. He's actually the player that picked off Jordan Love in that 2-minute drill. So good for the stat sheet on him. Granted, Jordan Love should not throw across his body back to the middle, but he can't control that. He was there. He made the play, ended the 2-minute drill, so good for him. And it's looking like the starting position opposite side of Darnell Savage is going to come down to Tarvarius Moore, Rudy Ford, or Jonathan Owens. And we're going to probably see them shuffle in and out to see who's going to be more consistent, because that's pretty much what Joe Barry and Matt LaFleur said they're looking for, that safety. Who's going to be the most consistent, not just playing, but also during practice, doing the everyday things. So we'll have to keep a lookout throughout the offseason to see how that progresses. Then lastly, Matt LaFleur had a couple of shout outs to some young players that have had a very good past few weeks so far. So those were Colby Wooden, Carl Brooks, Lucas Van Ness, and Brenton Cox. All four of these players to him stood out and have had very good offseason programs and OTAs and have shown very well. So we'll have to keep an eye on them to see if they might force their way potentially into the 53-man roster, or what roles they could carve out with this Packer defense. That pretty much wraps up everything that happened in the OTAs this past week. Now, unfortunately, they will have more practices, but the media availability will not be there, so we probably won't hear too much, and we'll see more once mandatory minicamp starts up next week, and I can't wait for that to have all the players finally there, and they'll actually have pads on, because unfortunately during these OTAs, they don't have pads on, so you don't get the full extent of what these players are going to be capable of being able to do with pads on. But let me know what you think down in the comments. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, go Pack Go.